So I play a ton of these Dragon Ball games, and a common thing in them is form mastery. Now this game, Final Remastered, actually got it pretty recently. From what I have seen so far, it's pretty much the same as the other ones. You master them, they do more damage, but in this case, it does more damage for moves related to the form. Like as you see here, Broly increases Broly moves. Rose increases Goku Black moves. So this is pretty cool, and the more you master it, the more the stronger it gets. And there's 4 tiers, which, oh my god, those 4 tiers. That's a lot of mastery. Now in this particular game, mastery isn't awful. If you're weaker, you can just beat on another player, or like take turns like farming off each other, or like lower your power level all the way down and go farm on a dummy. But let's say you're strong, right? You have this much power level. Well, you're not gonna be able to farm on a dummy, even if you set your power level all the way to the lowest. So what you have to do at this type of power level is you just summon your shadow, then you start fighting them. Make sure you're in your form. So this is what you'll be doing to master your forms. And if you've played this game a decent amount, then you would know you do this a lot anyways to start. Which is the big problem that I'm trying to get at, is repetition. The repetition of the same activity over and over again is going to get boring really quickly. I'm surprised they don't have a minigame for mastering forms. Maybe they do, but I've looked and I couldn't find one. Because doing this for hours, I don't see who would want to do that. And yeah, it's a game, you want to get powerful, but literally, as I just said, it's a game. So why not make it fun instead of making it be super repetitive and boring? Maybe I'm crazy and I'm like the exception that doesn't like fighting my shadow for a couple hours just to master all my forms. So yeah, not a great fan of this type of mastery where you beat up the same thing for hours on end. And the thing with all the other Dragon Ball games is that they handle it very similarly. So let's go into Dragon Generations and talk about that one. So here we are. The mastery in this game works basically the same as what we just talked about, but it's actually a little bit different. So instead of having it be more broad, or just hitting masters everything, and it's like a full move buff, you have to individually master these, and these go all the way up to like A and S. It'll slightly boost the damage, which, cool, whatever. If you want to do that, get more damage, it's fine. But the problem I have with this one, and it's pretty simple actually, is that if I recall, and I believe it's still the same thing, is that it nerfed you. So let me use some key. Okay, the charge is actually not that bad. I think they fixed it or whatever. Anyways, it used to really suck. The charge used to be abhorrent. But anyways, it's still the same thing as the other one. You hit them enough with it and it upgrades it. It's not the worst system, but when you have it for every single form, it's the same thing for all of these. Like, you wanna get really strong with this, spend a couple hours farming this one type up, or just buy HTC and go there, which is my biggest issue. Why, like, you're selling the solution, essentially. They're telling you, if you don't like wasting your time, spend money and make it go by faster. It's hard not to be negative here, because that's really what it is. And instead of having it be and a massive amount of repetition, I'd rather it be a test of skill. Like, alright, this form that you have has a maneuver or something special with it. Now, use that versus a boss or whatever to beat him. Like, some special scenario to make it interesting and have it be a test of skill and engaging. So you actually learn how to use the form more instead of just, alright, use this move X amount of times. Now, this is the more common type of mastery, the repetition one, and it's bad, but it can get worse, and prepare yourself because I really do not like this next type of mastery at all. Okay, so as you see, I'm on Dragon Ball Rage, and you can already guess what type of mastery that I'm getting at. That is staying idle, beating the form longer. Now, to be fair, Rage actually does this pretty good. It doesn't take that long to do it, and it gives you a training boost too. And you're not going to notice it when you're playing through the game because you have to go through all the forms anyways, train up all your stats, which will take days, but you will master the forms along the way, so you won't notice it as much. It's less noticeable than the others since it doesn't take nearly as long. But this is like the basic of what I think is awful in terms of mastery. Is just being form for X amount of time. because it gets to a point where like when you, let's say you get to Zenkai 50 and you just want to get really powerful, then you kind of messed up and you want to go back and master everything. Well, instead of like playing through the game or playing the game, because you're like your max, right? You can't, there's no reason for you to be on other than to just go on a server and like show people how strong you are. What you're gonna have to do is stay AFK in a form, which it feels really wrong. Like now I just go AFK, let my form go up, and it's not right. It's really not. Like any game where going or okay, let me rephrase that. Any game where not playing the game is the best way to play the game, that's not good. Yeah, I don't think that's good. I wish there was like a boss in this game that you would fight that would give you more mastery or whatnot. Or maybe even a minigame. Anything but staying AFK and idle. Please. Yeah, this is like the like very simple version of it. And a lot of the forms in this game don't even have mastery requirements, so it's not horrible. However, the next game is this, but like way, way worse. And it's actually what I did a most recent video on. So let's get into this thing because it's pretty wild. Okay, yep, Dragon Soul. So yeah, this is, you're gonna be AFK for a long, long time in this game. And they even have the time chamber that you can stay AFK in. So why is that? Why is it so bad? Just leave it on, right? Well, as I said, if the best way to play the game is to not play the game, that's not good. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just a bad part of the game. But what could be an alternative? How could this be better? And it's very important because it's one thing to criticize something, you just say it's bad and tell you why it's bad, but it's a completely another thing to add what could potentially replace it or be better. And what I think is much better is something that requires less time sink, less repetition, more critical thinking, and more skill, so that you actually show that you know how to use the form, as I said earlier. So maybe like a boss fight where, like, for example, let's say you're trying to master Kaioken in this game. Let's go here. And this actually does it pretty well here. Except I think it's almost too easy, the Kyorakin Shadow. And the reason why it's so easy here is because it only gives you 10% mastery of a Kaioken that you have equipped. Now, that's pretty good, but 24-hour cooldown. Now, what I would like is if it gave you 100% mastery, but to balance it out, because that's really powerful, you gotta make this, like, this AI incredibly good. And not just like it does a lot of damage, not just like has a ton of health, make it smart, to where it uses counters, or uses beams. And the thing with beams is they are complete huge openings. Like, if it uses a beam here, well, I can just use a move. I could have used a move, I ran into the beam. Get the idea. Make it engaging. That's what I would prefer over just spend a long, long time in a form, then you master it. Which, while with Kaioken is not the exact same thing, you have to like punch or do damage in it to master it, but it's still essentially the same thing, just with an additional step. You not only have to be in the form, you have to attack something while in the form. So, yeah. And with mastering these forms in general, it's even worse, because you have to be just in the form by itself. Now granted, you can use the Dragon Balls, but unless you're the Dragon Radars, you're only going to get a full set every 2 days, mostly, from the Bounty Hunt and from buying it from the raid shop. Of course, here we have the Shadow. Yeah, 24-hour cooldown, 7% mastery on a form. It takes quite a bit of time. Ideally, what would be perfect? It's clear I do not enjoy repetition, the same activity, to achieve something. So, besides bosses, as I made it clear that's what I would enjoy, what else could it possibly be? Well, minigames, of course. Puzzles. Might sound odd, but it would be very interesting, and also it'd be able to work the brain. It'd have to make sense though. How would a puzzle work in a game like this? Well, the truth is, I'm not sure. I don't know. And that's just it. I don't know. I don't know how to make it make sense, which sucks, because if I can't like think of a better alternative, then why would there ever be an alternative like that? So, yeah, man, repetition to master forms. Definitely not the biggest fan of it. So, why? Why a video like this? Well, I like to talk about what I like and dislike when I play these games, because they all have something different to them, but they all are similar in some way. And for the most part, the majority of the big games have the form mastery. The one I didn't bring up that's decently big and it's pretty well known throughout the community is Dragon Block's Ultimate. It's the same as this one, where you stay in the form for long enough and you master it. It even tells you, like, staying for 3 hours, you get 5 mastery, 7 hours full mastery. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that's just It's not cool. I'd rather do a puzzle, fight something for mastery, get it done quickly, but make it be a much difficult or less difficult, more thoughtful. Thoughtful is the word that I'm really looking for. Something that works out the brain and gets it moving, because it keeps it engaging instead of just being, I want to say brain dead, which it definitely is, but not so much, because when you're not doing anything, it's not brain dead. It's just boring, and that's the ultimate problem. Though I don't like saying problem, because it's only a problem for me, because I don't like being AFK from my game. Anyways, what about games with no form mastery? Are those cool? How do they fare in comparison? How do they manage it differently? Well, let's look at a very original game that doesn't have any form mastery and see what it does and why it does it. So, here we are. The Dragon Ball game that started it all. No form masteries, just the forms. So how do you get evolutions of forms? You just prestige. Go back through the game. Prestiging, if you don't know, you keep some of your base stats, 20%, but the enemies get 20% stronger, and you take more damage and do less. But you get more stats for it, so it evens out the first 2 prestiges. After that, though, it starts getting more and more noticeable. But the first 2 are usually what you need. So for example, here I'm a Frieza race, I'm Prestige 2, and this is my Prestige 2 form. Golden Cooler. Pretty evened out. Definitely, there's a simplistic look to it. It's like, in this case, less is definitely more. It's definitely not nostalgia bias, because there's also recency bias. Where I play the new games, I would like them because I played it more recently, but I don't. I really like it's not massive. It's like just small, it's simple, it doesn't take up a lot of space. And that's another thing. When I'm playing through these games and I'm mastering stuff, like it hurts my eyes to look at. It's also bright and colorful. And this, it's like, I look at it and I'm fine. In the dark, yeah, the brights are light over there, but if I look over here, it's like, okay, I feel fine. My eyes aren't being assaulted by all the colors. And then the forms, they give you stats. There's no multiplication, it's just stats here. Yeah, I really am not much of a fan of form mastery and how it's been dealt with in these games. Maybe I've done too many brolies. Maybe doing those 50,000 brolies to get 2k twice has fried my brain from wanting to enjoy any amount of repetition at all. It could definitely be a factor here, but I don't think so, because if anything, I'm just more resilient towards it, and I've gotten used to it. So if anything, it wouldn't bother me as much as other people. So if I have an issue with it, then I can only imagine someone who has less patience than I do. It must be horrible. Anyways, that's enough of me ranting on about this. Something I want to talk about. There's more things I want to talk about in these games, but for now, I'll think on it and see what else. Anyways, if you have anything you want to say about it, if you like it or dislike it, I am interested, because I can't see how it can be interesting. So if you do like it, give me a reason why, because I do want to read about it and see why from that perspective, because it's something I don't understand fully. If I can understand it more, then, well, if I understand it more, then I can see it differently, and maybe enjoy it more, or find a way to enjoy it more. Anyways, that's all for now. See you next time. Take care.